Yeah, I tried that. I can't believe it.
I was surprised to see it, because I got surprised to see the clouds. Then got a little bit of rain out of it. Yeah.
Right after.
I take it back this time. I usually sit up front. Hello, you guys. Good. And you can use some. You want?
Okay. But I'm pretty sure I did. That's like, that was said the other day.
How you going? Good, how are you? Good. Good to see your smiling face.
There you go.
I don't read anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna say just regulate.
Oh.
Then I had a, you know, so it's a lot of he's here. So I'll bring that. I say I have more time.
Yes, from they have put on there. It's always good to see
And that's what we're right there. We're all pretty. Some of them. Good. Big good. Really good. Sure. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. You better hold that.
Yes, we did.
Call you.
I was told my dad I'd show him he's struck with an ECM. I charged his car and
We'll get started. It's good to see this many people here. I appreciate the interest in coming tonight. So we'll start our workshop. Does everybody have a copy of the agenda? Would like one? I'll take that as a yes. Okay, first on the agenda, we've got Uinta County Sheriff Andy Cobb.
All right, there you go.
Step up to the podium and
It's quite proud.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for having us out. I've provided the council members with a lot of our calls we've taken here in Bear River since January of 23 when I took office. We've taken 741 calls for service out here in that time frame. A majority of those calls are information cases that we take when we come out here, so the citizens know the county deputies are out here patrolling. So a majority of them are listed as information. That basically says, hey, the deputy was out in the area, we're patrolling your streets. The other calls that aren't information cases, you know, we get dog problems out here. I think last year I told you guys you can make a killing for the town if you put a couple kennels out here, then you have to pay someone to manage it. So actually the dog problems have gotten better. I don't know if that's, people keeping a better eye on them or just the winter keeping them down right now, but, we don't see too many, violent crimes out here. We have a few domestics here and there, and then at Troy's house, he's always throwing rowdy parties. No, I'm just, it's pretty quiet out here for the most part. Hopefully we're responsive enough for you guys. And if you guys have any questions or concerns for us, I have an open door policy. I'll take phone calls, come in and see me. We can visit, but, do you guys have any questions for us?
I know I'm appreciative. I know I see your deputies up here very regular,
That's
and
good.
it's been fantastic as far as what I've seen, so.
It's good to hear. Just so everyone knows, in this coming budget, with all the work coming in, and we've been down in numbers, so we're asking for 2 more patrol positions from the commissioners. I don't know if we'll get that, but, we could use 2 more guys out there, guys or gals minimum, and go from there and up the service to the entire county. So, you know, it's, you've seen our new Durangos. We'll have a couple new vehicles. Deputies will be driving some Durangos this year. And so those are going to be rolling out this week. But we're easy to get a hold of. You guys have any questions? I know the commissioners would like me to push for an MOU with you guys. I think what we're doing now is great. If you guys can find it in your budget to throw some money to law enforcement services, great. If not, we're still going to be here. You know, we just signed an agreement with Mountain View to supplement their law enforcement services. We're fortunate. We're fully staffed now in all areas, but some agencies are struggling to hire, so we're just picking up that slack. You guys have any questions for me?
You know, during the summer when the traffic picks up, you know, we have the barely traffic comes by, that's when we really need, right? Is during that time, because it gets wild, I mean,
Especially on Thursday nights and
Right.
Saturdays all day.
yeah,
I call it the Utah Navy, sorry if I offend anyone, but they put their boats in Salt Lake and drive down to the lake. And so we'll have patrol in this area is fully staffed. We can work with them and trade this extra patrol out here in those days.
I know that makes a difference, I've seen it make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Get them right when they cross that state line.
Right.
They'll see us and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Except we never see them.
Yeah.
But we are doing some other things different. We've got in-car computers for all our deputies and then e-citations. So we'll cut down those traffic stops. It'll take about 3 minutes to do a ticket now instead of 10 minutes writing it out. So we can issue a lot of them in this area, not to the locals, don't worry. Just, But, no, we appreciate the partnership with you guys and, give us a holler anytime you need and we'll come back whenever you guys want.
Yeah, thank you for keeping us safe.
Yeah, thank you guys. Any questions for anyone?
Yeah,
Eric?
I'm not gonna be idiot or nothing, but there's no job out here. I don't, there's been vehicles speeding up down last night and the sheriff just passed right by and trying to do nothing. You can tell when somebody's doing 20 or faster.
Right.
And then, you know,
And when you called the one time, I did put a message out, so.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully it's getting better.
yeah,
Hopefully it's getting better. If not, give me a buzz and we'll get that issue addressed. They're ignoring it, we want to know, and if they're speeding, we want to know.
yeah, that's what I did. You know, 'cause the kids are out there in the summer, and there's people that come by when I'm riding, trying to get my horse to buck, I'm not worried about that. These little kids and stuff, and people with their kids with horses that shouldn't be on, and maybe they shouldn't be riding on the road if they're, but I mean, I've seen cars swarmed by people walking.
Yeah.
And, you know, but,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
you know, and it's easy on the dirt roads, actually, just, no one's out this speed up, so we'll keep it better.
Yeah, something like about Mustang, the people that
Must
live
be
down
on
that,
lose that, yeah,
well, I don't know, it could be everywhere, but Mustang is really bad.
it is.
Dave keeps the roads too good.
There you
Okay.
You just want to play with your boy.
All right, well, we'll stick around for the remainder. We'll listen in. That's it. Thank you, thank you.
Very much. All righty. The next thing we've got is the LR Communications Tower. You got some information on that?
Yeah, we've been visiting for, March. Anyway, we've been corresponding, LR Communications has been corresponding with us for their part of the month. And what they're looking for is a site for another tower. And they approached the property using All West Tower, it's All West Tower. There's kind of no deal there. So what they've done now is they've looked at the site up by the Verizon Tower, just north of it, kind of north and I guess east. I should give you a picture of it in your packet.
Well, I have, if anybody did not receive proposals, I have a couple of yes.
I think that was what, I think the whole thing.
At the end of the proposal, we made a change to what would be the lease. So apparently there's use of the circuit that's beyond what the original circuit that was installed was. So the original circuit was more like a residential circuit that's here feeding the building with internet service. And so there's Zoom calls or something like that that's going on. So the upload speed on that residential type circuit that was installed, we intend to change that to a business plan so that it supports Zoom meetings and greater use of the circuit beyond just kind of a basic residential. Ultimately, what we want to do is we'd like to build a tower up there. We did want to use the tower up there that belonged to All West. It was, we believe, to be abandoned. We still think it is abandoned. There's no electronic equipment up there that's powered, anything like that. But it came to light later on that they still want rights to it or whatever the case. So we have mobile apparatus that we can deploy there and stack it. So it's basically a mobile tower that would serve until such time as we're able to put together a plan, get some concrete together, and get our team up there to dig and actually put in a permanent tower. The tower is 50 feet, 52 feet, something like that, depending on how high we have to put it above the ground, depending on what we dig into when we get there. So it doesn't cast any shadows for the cellular tower that's up there, so it'll broadcast at such incredible strength compared to internet service, wireless internet service. So does anybody have any questions on the proposal or what we put together for that?
Just to clarify on the lease agreement itself, what they're proposing, right now they pay about we pay about $129 a month for internet service. And what he was talking about is upgrading our internet service to accommodate for Zoom meetings, better live streaming for council meetings. So basically, was it tier 2 or tier 3?
I believe we put in a business tier 3 and which is a 50 by 50 plan, which is a little slower on the download, but certainly supportive of the upload. It's 60 by 3 is current, and 50 by 50 would be
What would be the next step up then?
199 is what we put in the lease agreement as the trades and services, because that way that covers the business plan, which is again it's better suited than a residential plan for what was happening, and then it also covers the 2 phone lines as well. I believe there's 2. Is that right? 2 phone lines here.
Yes.
Yeah, 2.
So we have a fax and a, just we have one.
So we gotta work on that.
We have one line.
Okay, I thought it was 2.
No,
Question is, okay, so you said you quoted up to 199.
Yeah.
What would it cost us for the next step up? Faster yet, we'll download.
I'll certainly have to circle back and get with you on that. On the spot, I don't have the cheat sheet in front of me with all the business pricing and whatnot. But we can certainly have that back and forth.
That's been a big concern here, like, is people being able to watch council meeting workshop on our.
Oh, well, the plan we're proposing would certainly support that.
Okay,
That with output going from 3 to 50, there's 47 megabytes more per second that is able to be uploaded.
so anyway,
So it's certainly a more robust connection.
So, excuse me, is that already in the agreement?
We wrote it into the
Yeah,
lease, yeah.
And it sounds like it's gonna be sufficient.
so anyway, so
Yeah.
basically, what the lease agreement says, they in lieu of us paying NG or LR Communications $129, they'll up our speed to the 50, and that's about $199 a month. And that would be their lease payment, so we wouldn't have to pay anything for our internet, and they would have a cellular account. But,
So it's a complete trade agreement. So
So that's
it would
what's
be a wash.
written in
yeah,
the,
I was in this lease agreement.
yeah.
So internet service for town hall here,
Yes.
all that kind of stuff, in exchange, and that would be the lease payment
Yes,
for,
5 years, I believe.
It's a 5-year.
I think we wrote, oh, yeah, we did write it as 5. Oh,
Yes.
yeah, we did write it as 5.
And then in turn, what would that do for the residents of the community as well?
Well, the plan is by having then the tower, we can bring in more larger radios and be able to serve the community with more stable connections.
Sure.
So there's local towers that serve the community already, and we've grown, they're in effort. So this is one of our plans to bring more capabilities in the area. So it definitely serves the local people as well.
So that's the first step in that direction.
And anytime you grow, you gotta put together some infrastructure for it to support it. So yeah, we're certainly working on that, and that's of course why I'm here today.
okay? Any other questions?
So.
And as far as you're concerned with the location, I like that squares with,
Yeah, the chicken line was no problem, and I like the snow removal and things like that, so as far as off the track, I do get that corner, it's not gonna affect.
So there is a fence that runs across the property that was in question. We highlighted that in the proposal, and so that would need to be something done with that. But other than that, we could basically put our mobile device up there.
Background, okay. And what it is, our property extends further to the east. And Beckman's has a fence kind of cutting off the top 80 feet or so. So we'll have that fence not to be addressed and relocated.
We have that like first page from the back where I highlighted that fence in there as well.
Are they aware of this?
I haven't been to see how far this one.
yeah.
The third page from the back.
It sounds like they just it's never been.
It was there,
Yeah, it's there, and, but it cuts on some of the town's property. Just have to move that fence,
squared up on the property.
and will it make where they have to make their stuff smaller?
Considered substantially.
They just used it for grazing, they didn't want animals there.
Okay, so,
We like a raising bar.
yeah. Yeah, so we'll have to visit them and,
Even if it is that one, the Wasatch come out and reset the corners and know exactly where the fence and everything else. It's not that it's their property or anything like that, and I hope they're understanding as far as that.
yeah.
Who's gonna take care of the fence part of that? I'm gonna do it, hire it out, you guys can, I mean.
You guys gonna do it?
We didn't have any plans on it. We thought it would be incumbent upon the town and the landowners to work that out. If we needed to participate in some way or bring a small grader out to knock down the brush that's there once the fence is gone, we could certainly do that before we place a mobile apparatus there. We certainly don't want to try and have that undergrowth coming up into the legs of the device or able to access the trailer or anything like that.
Well, I guess we can talk through that as we go over it.
Yeah.
Now, I said that'd be the towns, I think it's.
Oh, that's, okay. So, okay, so yeah, that'd be the next step is talk to,
You ready to participate? Okay, I'll put you on speakerphone and turn the volume up.
okay. So, we okay with that?
Yeah, I think, move forward with it, talk to the neighbors.
See.
Yeah.
See where we go from here.
Well, Dave and I, we got a real good, talk around, we'll go back and forth, phone, email, whatever the case, so, if you guys want to bubble up anything to him, or we'll kick it back and forth from there. Awesome. And if you have any additional questions, same thing, send it his way, and we'll go on about it.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll try to catch them at home first thing tomorrow morning.
Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
That's my question. I have a question, so are we going to put it on the agenda to pass it tonight? Approve the lease agreement?
For this?
For that, yes.
Yeah.
What's going on?
I think we,
Because like they
yeah,
said, they're ready to rock.
yeah, we can move forward.
I think the first thing
Okay.
we need to do though, get the survey corners done, so that there's no argument.
Okay, but other than that, it's good to go.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm just
that's probably the only sticking point. That's just the landowner, it'll cut into his, but I think,
it's not him, it's
Yeah, it's
not
actually all
him.
city.
He's cut into ours.
yeah, it's not his, that's true.
But
But,
I honestly think they'll be understanding.
That makes sense.
Right.
It's worth it. We need to have that conversation the right way.
yeah,
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
I'll make contact with them tomorrow, and set up the piece of survey.
I think the survey should be done first.
And I would second that because if there are complications from it, that's gonna cause complications for the lease.
So it's probably,
Oh, and we're patient, we want to do it, but at the same time, we also recognize that there's a fence line there, and, and there may be some discussion that has to happen about that. So,
Okay.
we sort of came in having that line
this is starting.
Yeah.
out. Absolutely.
So,
get that done and then we'll probably. That would be my.
yeah, so, yeah.
Okay, so they're all pretty good.
All right.
Okay,
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
appreciate it. Okay, the next thing is the Verizon letter of intent. Last month, I brought up in the meeting that Verizon, most of you may not or may not know that Verizon has a tower on town property, and they pay us a monthly, they lease that by the month. And we signed a 30-year agreement because the current lease is good until February 28th, 2025. And they wanted to extend that lease for 30 years. And so we did that recently. So bottom line is they paid the town $10,200 a year with monthly payments for 5 years. And then the new agreement is that increases by 15% for 5 years. So 10.2 for 5 years, then a 15% increase, that amount for 5 years, then a 15% increase, that amount for 5 years. So, and every 5 years, we get 15% more. Then last month, they sent me an email that said, we can continue to do that, or if the town would be interested, we would buy that lease out for $115,000. One lump sum payment, $115,000. So, Michael, I had two questions for Verizon, because their lease is for 30 years. I said, okay, so is this $115,000, does that buy out the 30-year lease? And then in 30 years, do we negotiate for another $115,000? And he said, no, that the $115,000 is a one-time deal forever. So it'd be a one-time payment, and the 30-year lease agreement would go by the wayside, and they would buy that. And my second question was, if we were to agree to that, when would we see the money? And he said, this letter of intent here that they sent us, once that's worked out and signed and agreed to, he said the longest he's ever seen it take is 60 to 90 days to see the money. But he said, realistically, 30 to 45 days, we would have that check for $150,000. And I could go, I'm not partial, yes. Do you want to step up, or do you?
I mean, I can talk, or I can step up, whatever you'd like.
Well, maybe, yeah, why don't you step up a little?
I just had a quick question. So the only catch though was that Verizon can cancel at any time, right?
Mhm.
So they could cancel next month, they could cancel a year from now, they could cancel 29 years and 11 months from now. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
And when we re-signed that, our attorney, Mr. Stout, advised me to push back on that a little bit. And said, we would also, and he said Verizon has had issues with that before, with both parties. You know, they'd had citizens say, I don't like the shadow coming across, you know, I want to. So Verizon reserves the right to cancel at any time, and we don't have that right.
You have to pay them the money back?
What's that?
You have to pay them $100-something thousand back, or?
No.
No. Now, once $115,000 is in our pocket,
No.
if they cancel tomorrow,
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
Okay, but if you do take that after we take the initial, they can do what they want with their tower at that point, correct?
So what if we don't have service?
all they're buying is access to
Verizon,
the lease. They're not buying the ground,
Cash
They're not buying-
the check now.
they're just paying for access to it. And,
They can do what they want with it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
Well, I mean,
Change that.
this is kind of the open-ended subject of what they want to do. You have to
Right.
figure out what Verizon's got planned and see
They got us.
You have to bring up the fact that there's probably gonna become outdated.
yeah, see, I mean, with the way technology goes, I mean, it's a gamble either way, but 10 years from now, and because the point, I ran the numbers, and $115,000 is about what we would get for 10 years. So, but in 10 years, technology may be such, you know, with the Starlink stuff and satellite phones, I don't know where technology is going, but 10 years from now, cellular technology might be ancient, and we're on to something else. So, either way, it's a, you know, it's a gamble either way. And like I say, I'm not partial to one plan or the other, but I'd be interested to know what.
So just, a quick question. So their buyout, is that for the length of our existing contract? So at the end of 30 years?
No, I asked him that, and he said it's in perpetuity or something.
Yeah.
So it's 115 forever.
And so if they say viable for the next 60 years,
Yeah, then
Then
we
there's no
made,
income for
then we
that,
made a bad choice.
My phone's outdated now, I just got it.
I personally see it being viable for years. We're more remote, we're Wyoming. There's not a lot of population in this area. They're not gonna bring in a whole bunch of other new technology for the small population. But Verizon told us that years ago. We're not putting more towers up because we can get more population out of Denver off of one tower than we can the whole state of Wyoming.
So you're in favor of not taking the 150? Take the
I
long
say
term.
keep the lease.
And see, for the exact same reasons you just said, I think we should take the money, because they're not gonna put in new towers, what they're gonna do is put up more satellites. And satellites don't care.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
You are correct, Terry.
Okay,
But it is a gamble.
yeah, it's again, with any other input, Lance, have you got anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, sure. I agree with your assessment, Ron, and I believe that, 10 years from now, technology is gonna change drastically. And, will it come into rural Wyoming? I don't know, but, if I think, if you read the writing on the wall, and if it is satellite technology, it's gonna be available everywhere. And so I think we're probably better off to take the 115 now. Because Verizon could go out of business, things could change. I think we're probably better off to, but that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, that's, like I say, it's a gamble either way.
It truly is, because even though technology is changing, it's gonna be forced upon us, kind of like what a lot of the car manufacturers are doing now, where they can just remotely get into your car, shut it off while you're driving.
Yeah.
Whether you want it or not, it's there, they'll force you to buy it, so it's a hard gamble.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Any other comment? Well, I mean, that's what I wanted, is to just get a feel for this one and see where we go. On the 10th item on the agenda is we're talking budget. This is budget time, and we do have a bit of a shortfall this year.
Now we don't.
And
Not if you find that.
yeah, so this would take care of a big chunk of that shortfall, but it's a one-time shot.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. Any other comments?
A one-time shot, you lose 10,000 for next year. So that's another shortfall for next year.
Well, I like what Troy actually just said too, is we take that money and you just turn around and invest it.
Put it in the money market account, the other stuff, and move it forward.
You're making money no matter what.
Budget for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the next year we might not have that big expense. I mean, it changes from year to year. So you can't just, what we're talking about now, and now is when that $115 will balance our budget. And that's what's going on at this point in time.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll bring that up in our official meeting and vote on it. And go on, go from there. That sound okay, everybody? Okay. Next thing on the agenda, upgrade the council room camera and websites.
I'll turn that over to our IT guy.
Okay? Boyd knows.
We kind of knows more about this than I do.
So we all have a quote or idea. The first thing on there is I need to upgrade the Word programs on my computer. I basically using the free version off of the internet right now. So in order for me to upload ordinances correctly to the website, I need those programs. So that's the first one. Second one, the internet, you kind of already talked over that, and I think that will help out. Because like right now, like Lance could get on and see the live stream, but it's lagging. It's lagging, so that will probably fix that. And then just a few, kind of the setup I have back there now, I think will work. So yeah, we just need to just upgrade it a little bit. You know, like that camera we had up there, it just was given to us free, not really that good, so.
Okay.
Yeah, so just upgrade some of the things, and I think everything will run pretty smoothly.
Okay.
So if we go to upgrade that camera, I don't see anything on here for the cost of upgrading a camera.
So I had a camera on there, it was about 150 or 60 bucks, but I went and got a, webcam, and that webcam actually is pretty dang good. So, I mean, we could keep that, or we could, I had a dome mounted camera. That's what I had on the original one. So it's kind of either way you want. Yeah. Yeah. So it's kind of, yeah, on what you guys want. If you want a dome mounted one, it would work.
We already got that today, so.
Everything managed between what's got his set now it's a big cake in the back corner of the room, down in that kind of looking on top of everybody's head. If one was up on the dome up above, then you see more of that.
So, and either way, it's what you want. Yeah, so the issues we've had in the past, like with Lance being gone and trying to zoom in or whatever, it's in the internet lagging and all that now, so. Yeah.
Well, I think if we're gonna do it, it makes more sense to upgrade that camera,
Yeah.
where it's a permanent mount thing, it makes accessibility easier.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about cables.
Well, all that stuff you have in the back, then we could actually just kind of run it through the top into a room and.
Yeah,
it's not even not seen.
And that way, you know, if I'm sitting in the audience, there's not the shine in the top of my head. I'm watching this.
Yeah, if you want to go that route, then go that route, so.
I agree.
So the camera was like $150, so. Okay.
Struggle's real.
And that
Perfect.
Spotty could actually purchase that in this year's budget, and we wouldn't have to wait till the July budget. We have that money now.
All right. Item number 5, curb and gutter grant discussion. The reason this was on the agenda is last month, we were talking about, we'd like to get the speed limit lowered on 89. It's right now it's 65. And there's been some discussion back and forth. Some people don't, they think 65 is okay. Some would like to go to 45. So I had a meeting in Cheyenne with the governor's chief of staff and the director of WIDOT. And they told me the best way to decrease the speed limit, because the legislature, Wyoming legislature has to do that. We have to convince them with evidence that it's necessary to drop that to 45. And he said, the way you do that, you create friction. He said the best creator of friction is a law enforcement vehicle. And but he said, other than that, and WYDOT suggested having curb and gutter. So we've put in grant applications and been turned down twice, because that project is about $500,000 to put curb and gutter on both sides of the road, and then it looks like you're coming into town. But last month we had this discussion, and I made the rookie. It's an ongoing process, but I called for a vote, which I shouldn't have done. I called for a vote, and as a council, we voted to kill that project, because our portion, the grant would be about 3/4 of the $500,000, and then the town would pay about $130,000 for that curb and gutter. And some people were against that. I got some phone calls of people who were for it, but like I say, I made the mistake of calling for the vote, and as a council, we voted to kill that project. That was a mistake on my part. I think we should have said, okay, we got the input, we'll consider it. The grant will be decided on. We sent in for a third time, and that decision will be made in June. So I called our attorney, and he said, since the council voted to squash it, he said, if you want to bring it back to life, he said, you got to vote to bring it back to life. So in our meeting today, after the work session here, in the meeting, I'm going to call for a vote to bring that curb and gutter project. Instead of us killing it, I'd like to allow that process to play out. And like I say, there's been a lot of time and effort and some money that's been invested in this project already. And like I say, that was a rookie mistake on my part. So in the meeting, we'll call for a vote, and if the council, if they vote to keep it, dead, then that's what we'll go with. But I'm gonna ask for a vote to see if the council would like to resurrect that, and then we'll see what happens in June. See if the state will award that grant.
This highway here,
Yeah, along 89.
I don't understand why you want to reduce the speed here and they can't even take care of the speed in Fair River. Nobody's gonna listen to that 45-mile-an-hour sign, been out there, you know. So I don't see spending all that money when people ain't gonna listen.
Yes,
That's my opinion,
yep, that's,
but
we kind of, can you add to step up here? I kind of slacking, but if you got.
no, I'm just saying that nobody listens to the speed limit anyway. There's 65, there's people flying up and down this highway. I've seen highway patrols out here, there's nobody out there gonna do their job, you know, and I just wonder why you want to spend 500,000 or whatever to slow this down and, you know, you ain't gonna do a bit of good.
If you want the speed limit lowered, there has to be a cheaper way, right?
Well, I mean, yeah,
And then
that's a
another
law
thing,
enforcement start stopping people.
Yeah, so let's, you finish and then
Yeah,
if you like.
okay.
well, if you want to
Step up.
get it to pass, you're gonna have to present something to the people that provides a benefit to them other than the road out there. Are the cutouts for everybody's turnouts gonna come in 50 feet? What is gonna take place? Where's the water runoff gonna go?
Yep, oh.
A storm drain usually goes along with curb and gutter, and the price of $500,000 seems relatively inexpensive if you're including storm drains.
Yeah.
And the way I would see, if that's what you want done down that road, you're gonna have to present some advantage to the people. And that would be the turnouts, because as they are right now, is the curb and gutter just gonna stop and the water's gonna run into our road? But, you know,
Yeah, see, all of that kind of stuff.
yeah, are they gonna come in 50 feet with the curb to connect up to what you foresee as the future for the town?
Yeah, yes, that's the kind of stuff, Forster and Engineering has done some preliminary work on that. So, I mean, it'd be done the right way.
Will they want to back charge each individual for a turnout for the driveway?
No, their access is still gonna be the same. The only place that you're gonna have the curb and gutter is on the highway. You're not gonna affect any of the turnouts to any of the residents. It's just gonna be,
How far in will the curb come? How far into the turnout? Will it be 50 feet?
Essentially, if we within the highway right of way, it's gonna come off the highway and the approach will come into the end of the approach where it comes off the state right of way.
And is it gonna take into consideration the growth here? Turnouts, I noticed in this place, it's a bit confusing.
Well, that's part of the discussion that they've had. We've had a few accidents out here, and each time when we visit with Wyandotte and their engineers, it comes back the same thing. They can't alter the turnouts out here right now because the speed limit is too fast. We, at one time, and this might fire everybody up, we actually had one time that Wyandotte came out and said, well, the best way we can fix this problem out here would be to close down the approach on Deer Mountain and make everybody come down around the park down in front of town hall. Well, I don't think that was gonna fly. So anyway, part of this whole discussion about creating the friction has all been through with Wyandotte and their district engineers, and now we even got the big dog in Cheyenne, is by putting in the curb and gutter. And right now, this phase, and this has been busted up into phases. We've got, the first phase is approximately 1,600 feet on the east side and 1,600 feet on the west side, beginning about, I'm gonna say it's 680 feet north of Mike Cross Place, Supreme Buildings over here, and it'll run past the park, town hall, and end about 800 or 900 feet past the town hall, almost at the beginning of the corner. And to answer your question about the drainage, the way that's been designed in is right now, we have one sludge water coming off the highway already, and it has places it goes. It's gonna go to the same places.
Okay, another question. So you spending all that money doing that, why don't you really hire an officer out here to take care of that?
Because that's way more money than that.
Oh, it is?
Oh, yeah, you think you start paying benefits and insurance and transportation. and
Oh, really?
stuff, it's way more than that.
I'll go to a cop that pay cheap. Okay, I wanna.
Yeah, it's a really good question.
I don't do, if you want $500,000 our
Well, the thing is, the way this is gonna work is we're gonna be getting a grant that's taking
grant.
most of that money.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's grants.
Oh, grant, okay.
And the whole reason we're really even considering and talking about this again is because we're not actually spending money yet.
Yeah.
We're just throwing things out there. We've spent a little bit of money, we put a lot of time and effort into it.
Yeah.
So we're throwing this to the state to say, okay, here's what we're thinking. Let us know if you even want to consider it, because if the state comes back in a month and says, hey, guy,
Oh.
this project's done and gone, I'm not
Oh,
gonna
okay.
consider it. We're not gonna spend that much money on a project like that.
Cause I'm just wondering, I mean, maybe my kids and these people driving the four-wheelers and stuff up and down that road, if the people, whoever the parents are, got to don't love their kids. Because I'm having to have a wreck right in front of my house. And I'm not, when they're doing that stuff, I'm not gonna go out on my way to go out there. And one kid had a wreck there, my wife was running out. I told you, dude, I thought, you're gonna have a wreck. He come and wreck, right when my truck came in Mustang. So somebody's kid's gonna get out here.
Yeah.
You know, but that's, I didn't, okay, I didn't know that much.
Yeah, this is the state would pay about 3/4 of the 500,000.
Oh, okay.
And again, we've applied for the grant twice, and the state has told us, there's usually about $35 to $40 million worth of projects needed, and the state only has about 15 million to be awarded.
Oh, okay.
So the state always has way more in demand. I mean, the demand usually comes to about 45 million, and they have 15 million to award.
Oh, okay.
So that's why we've been turned down.
Oh, okay.
And so we tried this third time, and if we get turned down again, which I don't know what the chances are, but this will be 3 strikes and you're out.
Oh,
So
okay,
if we get turned down again in June, we're just gonna have to give up on the curb and gutter project and try to come up with some more different ideas to, again, if decide as a town, do we care? Do we want them to keep going 65 miles an hour? Or do we want it to drop to 45? If as a town, we don't care. I mean, my concern is the bus stops.
Right.
If we have 3 bus stops, 2 of them, they have to sit on 89 when they pick up the kids, and then the third one, they could go off here. So the bus stops were kind of one of my concerns, especially coming around this corner here. So that's where the idea started, is we want it slowed down to 45. The state said we won't do it unless you change the appearance. So the best way to change the appearance, they said, is to put in curb and gutter. So we've been chasing this rabbit for 3 or 4 years. So, yeah.
No, you finish and then, I can jump right up after you.
Okay, and so, anyway, that's the story behind this project. And if we get turned down to curb and gutter the third time, it's done. We'll have to come up with different ideas to, again, create that bridge.
So I think last week or last month, you guys voted, right, like I agree with it. I don't know if curb and gutter's gonna do it. Especially after last week when I went home and was coming back, I drove through Dave, Grafton, all the way down to Eaton. One big thing I noticed was people's properties were closer to the highway.
So I don't think curb and gutter is gonna do it for us at all. I really like the idea of what we talked about last month with people lighting. That'll help out, nothing else would be a benefit to the residents. With the security, I mean, the list of lighting is on. So, I think kids voted right last month. So if you bring it back, I mean, I don't think here's what we think is needs skills. I think in terms of that, it's just not gonna work for us. Especially after seeing all those property lines. They're right out the distance compared to what's back here. So
That's something that causes friction. If there's a school or a church or a store or a house
yeah,
up closer to that causes friction. People think, oh, I better slow down, this is town.
exactly.
We did contact YDOT and they said the least effective is streetlights. As far as causing friction, because they're on at night, you know, and it's usually during the day when we're most concerned. But that was just YDOT's input.
And it totally makes sense, because in the middle of the day, you're not gonna see them, they're not on.
Yeah.
It's only at nighttime you give anybody any kind of benefit.
Yeah.
So,
And, I mean, this is just a process of ideas. If this one doesn't work, we'll try something else.
sure.
And
Well, and one of my big concerns, Dave, we talked before, my son was in an accident out here. When you're coming south during the summer with a horse trailer full of horses, and you pull in to turn left to go down, and the truck's coming this way to turn left to go up.
Oh, yeah.
That was that big wreck out here. Well, Trace and I are coming home, we had a load of horses, we're coming, I was in that same situation. I got cars going past me doing 75. That's a concern to me. At some point, somebody's gonna get killed out there. Or a bad accident, right? I mean, we were just lucky on our one, and I don't know how to fix that. And this curb and gutter, we address those things, if I understand it correctly.
Well,
So,
and that's a beautiful thing.
I don't know, sure.
Because you're right, I don't want to get hurt. In this intersection, especially get down to our place, it's a mess, like, where do you actually need to be? And then you add on the Utah traffic, going 30 miles an hour each way, it becomes a shit show real quick.
So the purpose is to get that speed limit dropped.
And I agree with that 100%, I just don't know.
Right.
But I think it's also worth a shot, as far as the process.
The reason I went to curb and gutter is because YDOT said the most effective thing to cause frictions as the place to start is this curb and gutter thing. That's why we came up with this. They suggested that statistically, they said that causes friction.
And I can also see where we're this far into the process, it's like calling the game in the last 2 minutes ago.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And that was,
I get it, but I don't,
yeah,
I wish I had a better answer.
yeah.
So do we.
Appreciate
Thanks.
Yeah.
There was a time that it was slower through here. What happened to that?
Yeah, they gave, I've got that at my meeting. They said, when they put in the, you know, the turning lane here,
Yeah.
and they put in the middle turning lane, they said, okay, that satisfies the thing, and so they made the decision to put it back up to 65.
Big mistake.
Because they put it in there.
Yeah. The whole thing started back when it was 55 miles an hour nationwide, and then they did away with that, and they went, there was a state legislator, his name was Leland Christensen. And he said, he said, okay, the state of Wyoming, we're far apart everywhere we go, it's a long distance. And people in Wyoming need to get there. So he passed a law, and it said, okay, the interstates in Wyoming will be 80, the highway, and yeah, and the other ones will be 70. And nobody can change it but the state legislature. But all these little towns were grandfathered in, you know, Afton and, I mean, those little ones, Grover and they were already 45 miles an hour. So they didn't increase them. Well, Bear River wasn't a town then. So we didn't get grandfathered in to those lower speed limits that everybody else got to keep. And then when we became the town, they said, okay, we'll drop it to 45, and they did for a while. And then they said, okay, we'll, you know, people want to get where they're going, so the politicians wanted to keep people happy and raise it back up to 65, so that's why they put in those turning lanes. Okay, Should we move on to the next one, or be here all night?
Yeah.
Okay. We got a letter from the Department of Audit conducting a follow-up review from the audit conducted on March 16th, 2021.
Right.
So this information-
Yeah, you have a copy of the letter in front of you. And so when this audit was conducted, they said they were going to send a follow-up letter in 4 years. It's been 4 years, well, 3. And wanted to know if we address the deficiencies, which we have about. Most of them have been addressed. And so now I have to, of course, prove to them that we have addressed our deficiencies. And there's a few that we will need to take care of, like the depreciation of the sewer, and just small ones, but most of it's been taken care of. But you can see on the letter the 3 things that they wanted that was important. I had you guys bonded. I sent them the financials for fiscal year 2023. And there's something else on there. I don't have it for you. But I got it ready to return back to the Department of Audit. And I will, after they receive the information that I've gathered for them, then I'll probably receive another letter. And I'll see what happens after that, because we did address most of it. And in the very beginning, Troy was the mayor when it all began, and then COVID came along. And then Brian became mayor. But the audit was awesome. Our audit was top. It was at top of the game. There was very few financial discrepancies at all. It was more policy. Okay, and some of those policies, we address them in our council meetings, during our minutes. It's not like we just, oh, yeah, we'll just go open the money market. Oh, yeah, we'll still do that. No, it's addressed, and we do take care of it. They, but they would like to see a policy in place, so we can do that.
Okay.
But as far as just not taking care of business, we have.
Yeah.
We have.
So bottom line,
Written the way that it's not seen the way they think it should be seen.
Yeah.
It's there.
But it's there, yeah. And so that's what I had to do, pull out all that information and send it to them, let them know, no, this is, yes, we have taken care of it.
Yeah.
So, and then we'll see how they respond to it.
yeah.
But it's been taken care
Yeah,
of.
so bottom line, we had an audit, they had some findings,
Uh-huh,
and we're taking care of those findings.
yes,
Okay, very good.
and it has to be in by the 17th, so I'll have to take care of that tomorrow. I'll
Okay.
get it in for tomorrow.
Okay, there's a LAM convention coming up on June 5th. The LAM is the Wyoming Association of Municipalities. And we're a member of that, and twice a year they have a convention, and all the communities in Wyoming get together and kind of compare notes, what's going good for you, what's not working, and it really is it's a beneficial organization.
Well, educational sessions is what it has. And because they had a lot of educational sessions
Yeah,
that
Yep.
learn,
Yep.
things change all the time.
so that's coming up on this, yeah, it starts June 5th, yeah, it's June 7th.
Uh-huh.
It's in Pinedale, does anybody know? I'm gonna go.
I probably won't be able to.
Oh, you'll take care
You're gonna go?
Yeah, but I'll take care of it.
Huh?
You can make it, Lance,
Yeah, I think I'm gonna make it.
on June 5th? Okay, so
Yes.
Lance is saying yes.
Well, I'll verify, because I've gone through all that, and I
Okay,
cancel all that.
okay,
So,
so,
okay.
Take care of it.
okay,
I'll call. Huh? Yeah.
all right. Number 8, voting delegate and an alternate voting delegate for the land convention. Because we just have to designate.
So at the workshop, we'll decide on who, and then we'll take it to the council meeting, and then we'll approve it.
Okay.
Okay, so between.
I nominate Tom.
I second.
Oh,
Oh, come on.
Okay, I'll be one of
But
them.
we need an alternate also, so while you're doing there. Okay.
Okay, so we'll vote on me and Clyde.
Got it all. So we'll put all that in at the
Yeah.
council, meeting, okay.
We'll vote on that officially in the meeting. Okay. Elections are coming up in November. There are 2 council seats and the mayor's position will be open for this election coming up in November. So candidate packets are available at Town Hall from May 16th to May 31st. Anyone interested in being on the council or having the illustrious position of mayor? You're welcome to it.
I just want to throw out this, the packets are here, they have their town hall. Okay, we're our own little town. So you come in, you'll pick up the packet, you'll fill out your registration. There's filing fee of $25, okay? And our office hours are 8 to 4. Okay, on the 31st, I will be here until 5 o'clock. Okay, because that's the last deadline date, and I will be here until 5. So that's how it works. You don't go to the Union County Clerk's office. You come to town of Bear River, okay, if you're wanting to run for office. And then I will take care of getting the paperwork in for her. Okay?
Get that over. Okay, all right. Takes care of that. Number 10. The proposed budget for 2024, 2025. We've got that. You'll see this year. Okay, so this is the proposed budget.
It's the second read, this is the
Yeah,
second reading.
yeah, this will be the second reading. And like I say, the two big things, with this one, we've got a bit of a shortfall.
We do not. We have a balanced budget right now. Yeah,
We've taken into account
you're gonna sign the letter.
the letter of intent.
Yes. Right now, as this workshop, with the assumption that you're gonna sign the letter of intent, we have a balanced budget.
So we balanced it 150 with that.
Yes,
150.
we did.
Okay. Okay. Very good. I should have visited with you.
So the total revenues on the second reading is $844,142. The total expenses is $844,123.
Okay.
Okay, there is no deficit, it's a balanced budget.
Okay. Now, on one thing, just, as point of information, if we get turned down on the grant, the 130,000, that will be added to that. Right? So,
It'll be taken out of the.
yeah. So it'll be even more to the,
Yes.
good. That's in the budget.
So we just have to go off of today.
Yeah.
Today, this is what it is.
Yep. So yeah, we're balanced as of now, so in the meeting, we'll have the second reading
You'll pass it.
for the budget, yes. Yeah, we'll pass that.
Yeah, the budget is passed.
Okay. Yes,
So if I caught that right, the budget is balanced after we get that $115,000 that we just barely decided on. So why was there a fairly epic hole in the budget? Yeah.
Because of, the reason why is because we didn't have the $115,000 for buying out the tower.
But we spent it.
No, we haven't spent it.
There's a hole, there's a $115,000 hole.
What we would do is do a line item and withdraw the money from our general fund to balance it.
So there's still a hole.
No, there isn't,
Just move.
because our site,
well,
It's coming from investment.
but, I mean, the budget is our expense, I mean.
there's
things
not a
are-
hole unless you do
Yeah.
not sign the letter of intent.
Right, there's not a hole now, but the reason is expenses have gone up.
If you guys decide that you don't want to go with Verizon, just, then yes.
Exactly.
Then we either have two choices. We either just vote no completely on the curb and gutter project, or we pull money out of the reserve, which is $1.5 million plus.
Yeah.
To balance that budget.
And this is only the second reading, and there's
Yeah,
one more
only the
reading to
second
go.
reading.
State statute says you have to have 3 readings.
Yeah, we're ready to.
Well, her question is this though. Yeah. And it's just like my first suggestion, right? That's where you're coming from, Jim. Is our budget was, and we're $115,000 under that outcome, is her question, right?
Yes. Yes.
Expenses.
Yeah, I mean, but the budget changes every year. You have to say, these are our expenses, you know, because we pay salaries and raises and insurance and so all those equal something.
Right.
And we get from the state money from revenue and sales tax and all that kind of stuff. And so if those two don't meet up, you work it. And you say, okay, what do we change? Where do we go? What do we, and Barb and Dave have worked pretty hard, and they worked it because when we first looked it over, thinking, okay, we need to work this. And I mean, we were thinking about maybe we need a piece of equipment. No, we don't, we can't, because it's, so we eliminated some things from the expense side till we got balanced.
And that's why we have 3 readings on this budget.
That's like which way, this side.
Yes.
This budget does not take effect until
July
July 1st of this year. Okay, so-
But as is right now, it's not balanced because, well, the reason I'm saying this, which I agree with what's being said, is because we have not approved Verizon Wireless Tower.
Right.
Without that approval, this money doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't, but what we would do, okay, is that we would do, we have a supplemental, revenue, that, a general fund, that we would put that $115,000 there, and it would.
Balance.
And so that's probably what we need to do in this now, because until we actually physically have the money, because like what you said, we have to go off of what we actually have today. And since we don't actually have the Verizon money today, we would have to have something to compensate for that right now in the budget.
Yeah, we could do that, or that's what we could do if you don't sign it, then we can amend the budget, because it's on the agenda also.
Mhm.
And that's when we would put that under the general fund.
Right.
So we wouldn't have to change that right now, unless you don't sign that, and then we would move that 115,000 and move it over to the general fund. Right, so
Yeah.
supplemental.
Yeah, so like I understand, it's just balancing money, it's throwing money around.
So, that's,
Yeah.
Jan, just so you're aware, we do have a surplus, excuse me.
If we're counting on this 115,000 to balance the budget, what's gonna balance out next year?
Well,
What's that, Dave?
Well, to a certain extent, you know, based on the conversations we've heard, you know, I guess we kind of jump the gun, assuming we're gonna get $115,000 from Verizon. And then the other 100, and then the grant amount is $115,000. Both of those are in this budget. Okay, so if we don't sign the lease agreement, then that, we either have 2 choices, like I said. If we don't sign the lease agreement, we have 2 choices. We pull 115 out of our general fund, or we kill the project. Does that help?
yeah, I mean,
Does that make sense?
Yeah, we just, like I say, next year, we just,
We don't have those.
yeah, you work it.
Comes out of the general fund.
Yeah,
We're
no.
talking about investing it, but we're not investing the 10,000 here now. We're using it. So if we use the 115, it's done, it's gone. We're not gonna invest it like Troy suggested. We don't have it to invest. We're gonna use it.
Yes and no. And let me try to explain this the best way. So we have money in the bank, right? We we made money. We made money since the conception of the town. And we've taken that money and invested it, even though, I'm trying to make this as simple as I can in my mind. Even though we have the money, we can still balance the budget. It's just not shown in there. It's like you have a checkbook balance of $30, right? We have $300 invested over here, we're still making money. It's just not shown on the budget. So the money's still there, it's just in a different account. So we can still make our shortfalls to balance whatever we need to do, if we come on hard times. And that was the big suggestion when I first became mayor, is we kept making money in case there's some sort of government blowout or whatever, we can still take care of the water, the sewer, because that's where most of our money comes from. And I think that's kind of how it works. It's government, it sucks for us because we only meet once a month. Everybody else does their readings all in May, so they have better numbers than we do to put everything together. So we're just, it's kind of like grabbing stuff out of the sky and guessing. But there's some idea there. Does that make sense?
Well, it makes sense. I think we've got confused with the 115 valve.
Yeah, and you're right, I understand where you take that. I can understand your confusion for sure. Yes, and so.
It's clear as mud.
We're not in debt.
Yeah, by any means.
Yeah.
We're far from it. As it has to. Good.
Okay,
Okay.
so we'll move on. The last thing, is an ordinance prohibiting the discharge of firearms within the corporate limits of Bear River, Wyoming, and provide designated exemptions. Firearms are defined as any weapon which will or is designed to expel a projectile by the action of explosive gases. So, last month, all the towns I know, Evanston, Mountain View, and Lyman, in United County, say you can't shoot a gun in city limits. And so, for the last 22 years since we've been in town, this is just one of the issues that hasn't come up. And so we decided as council to bring this up and talk about it and see, for the safety and peace of mind of everybody who lives in Bear River, we felt we ought to do something about discharging firearms in city limits. So we had a first reading last month, and we'll have a second reading and vote on this. So we'd like to know if anybody had, what your.
I got a lot to say about that.
Okay. What we'd ask is for you guys to come to the podium.
Okay.
And that way we kind of keep it organized.
Could you just read the ordinance to us all again, so that we know what the exemptions are? Where the exemptions?
Okay, let's get that right.
Right here, you can do it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll read it. Let's see, section 1, no person shall discharge any firearm as defined by Wyoming statute 68403 as amended at any time within the corporate limits of the town of Bear River, Wyoming, save in self-defense or in defense of others as allowed by Wyoming state law. When a firearm is discharged in a safe and responsible manner by the property owner or legal occupant of the property upon which the firearm discharge occurs, it will be considered an affirmative defense if the reason for discharge is one of the following: by a Wyoming certified peace officer while in the lawful performance of his or her duty, the dispatch of injured or sick livestock which is on the property, and the dispatched animal is promptly disposed of in accordance with the town's animal control ordinance. Number 3, the dispatch of rodents, which is on the property, but only if authorized by state law. Number 4, the dispatch of predatory animals, which is on the property, providing said animal is threatening any person or livestock with physical or emotional harm, which is on the property, but only if authorized by state law. Number 5, the dispatch of domestic animals, which is on the property, provided they are threatening physical or emotional harm to any person or livestock, which is on the property. If the domestic animal is trespassing but not threatening any person or livestock with physical or emotional harm, discharging a firearm is not allowed. But the persons are encouraged to contact the town of Bear River as soon as possible for enforcement, as per the town's animal control ordinance. Any person convicted of violating this section may be subject up to a $750 fine. Section 2, the ordinance and the rules, regulations, provisions, requirements, orders, and matters established and adopted hereby shall take effect and be in full force, effect from and hereafter the date of the final passage and adoption. So I guess that first section, section 1.
Yeah, that section 1 tries to take into account so if you've got a fox or a raccoon getting in your chicken coop, it's okay to shoot that raccoon.
And the neighbor dog that's eating the chickens?
Yeah, the neighbor dog, is threatening livestock. But if the neighbor dog is just walking across your front lawn, no. But if it's barking and snarling at you, or one of your kids, or one of your, for your animals, then yeah. Yep. Or if somebody's on your property, and so in self-defense, or in defense of somebody else, it's allowed.
Yeah, that ties into Wyoming law, so we're not defining it here. The state of Wyoming has self-defense laws in place. We're saying, if you're complying with Wyoming self-defense laws, you can discharge that, and we do not put it in the same section, saying you're limited only if it's in a safe manner. That makes it difficult. But that will fall into Wyoming law and their self-defense statutes.
And Wyoming, they define, and we're only talking guns. We're not talking crossbows, we're not talking airsoft guns, pellet guns. We're only talking, it says, it's defined as anything, the projectile goes out the barrel by the force of explosive gases. So we're just talking guns that shoot bullets, not compound bows. It's not an explosive gas, that's compressed gas. Explosive is a bullet with gunpowder.
You think of real gun that day, there's power than a 22.
But anyway, I'm just saying, bullets, guns with bullets is all we're talking about.
Yeah.
We're not saying that you can't shoot guns in town. We just don't want you going out there with your AK or your AR and whomping off 30 rounds just to have off 30 rounds.
Has that happened? Has that happened in town, any of that?
You know, I went out to feed my horses. I'll tell you why it's a concern to me. It's happened twice at my house. I'll walking out there to feed the horses. I'm behind the barn. You know how my barns sit. I'm off to the side of one of my barns. Whack right into the dirt bank. The horses spin and go. I'm thinking, what the heck is that? Here comes another one.
Okay, but is that coming from?
I don't know where that's coming
from.
No, it was coming this direction.
Okay, because they've been shooting across the river Saturday and Sunday all day.
Yeah.
Okay, well, how are we gonna control that? Those bullets are coming our way.
Yeah, we can't.
We can't, that's public.
I have an issue about.
Wait a minute.
So.
These are common in all municipalities in Uinta County. They're really put in place for the safety of everyone. The river thing, give us a call, we can take care of it. Usually it's just a contact and they don't realize
Again.
Yeah, so,
But they've got-
obviously shooting in the
they've got-
county, shooting in the.
Our gun range set up over there, he shoots all the time. I don't know how at the county, you're gonna control what's in the county that's shooting guns. It's legal to shoot guns in the county.
Correct.
Okay, so they run back there shooting in their backyards all day long. It's legal for them. Well, we're on the other side of the river and we can't do any of that. How is that gonna be controlled by our?
Exactly, it's not gonna be controlled by the town ordinance. A lot of people won't call us because they think they're bothering us, but, a lot of times, a simple contact with the individuals shooting over there, they'll be like, oh, I didn't even think of that, and they'll change their way of shooting. But this Evanston, in 17 years, I think I've seen one citation issued for discharge of firearm in city limits. Most of the time, people will go out, they'll shoot a skunk, shoot a raccoon. EPD will show up, hey, we're getting rid of a skunk or a raccoon. Okay, not a big deal, that's that. This is more or less like Troy was saying is, we don't want the target practice, and I don't think you guys do. If someone's out here getting ready for hunting season in their backyard, there's other places that are safer to do that. So I think this is a long time coming for the town of Bear River, and really just common sense for everyone.
But it is common sense, and we're shutting down the river. These kids can't go down and just jump shoot the ducks and the geese with a shotgun. You're gonna shut it all down. And how bad is that for those little kids? They're not hurting anything to shoot the ducks and the geese. I mean, they're on the river. There's plenty of room out there. They've been doing it ever since I've been here, and I haven't had anything happen like that.
So with the ducks and the geese hunting back there, I get what you're saying. And that's something that the county would have to work out. And maybe the town could put something in there with the exception of a lawful hunting rights on waterfowl.
Middle of the river, you're on.
Yeah.
Middle of the river is the border for a lot of properties, everything on this side is Fairbound River, Town Bear River. Of course, everything from the middle back to the east is theirs.
I got
It's all their property.
And to my knowledge, there hasn't been a lot of issues, or reports of any issues on the river when it comes to that. I think what the town is trying to accomplish here is basically put that safe net in where, hey, Andy on Elk Drive he keeps firing off AR-15 rounds in his backyard. I think that's what they're trying to accomplish.
But they're accomplishing that to take away everything else.
So I don't think they're.
And I think that's common sense.
As far as.
You don't want to shoot a radar in the backyard. I mean, that's common sense. Well, we should all know how to handle it. You know, Dave?
We should, and unfortunately, not everyone does.
Yeah. But that's why I asked, and like I said, it's happened to him. It's never happened to me in all the years I've been there.
Right. That's what I'm mad at, kid.
Yeah.
You're like that,
And this is the right atmosphere to address those concerns, like, hey, could we put an exception there on waterfowl hunting on the river? This is the right avenue to address those concerns now and work with them to get it. We personally haven't taken any issues or calls on the river with hunting and whatnot. So I think the goal for this is don't go in your backyard here and set up a target and shoot towards your neighbor.
Well, that comes back to the common sense.
Right. And unfortunately, not everyone has common sense.
There you go. Yay, hooray for that.
So I would address those concerns with the town and try to come up with a mutual agreement. Like, I don't think the town's opposed to having someone's hunting rights go. I think the idea is when you're more in the populated areas, you're not in the backyard firing off round after round after round. I'm not speaking for the town, but I think that's the goal of the town is you're not doing it in town. You're not target practicing, things of that.
I totally agree.
I think that's the accomplishment here, the way I read it. And I think a lot of people will, not bother the people down by the river,
I totally agree with you. I just worry that once you get your foot in there and you got some of them bad, then you're gonna get them all back.
So I think the Evanston ordinance has been amended. So it looks like it came out in 81, it was amended in 83, 88, 93, and 95. And so, that's the way I read it. I don't know if you have any input, Mr. Stout, but these ordinances are designed to, you come up with one and then you kind of
evolve,
work through them.
Yeah, get a starting point.
Yeah, but 22 years without an ordinance like this is pretty uncommon in my opinion. I think they're trying to be progressive to protect the citizens.
Well,
That's just my input.
There's also been a complaint, there was letters written addressed to the council talking about a certain instance that kind of sparked everything. So there's some people out there misbehaving, but we all make one.
You do, and that's how I always use policy and procedure. Someone screwed up, that's why we have a policy.
I sit down here, but I got a big old hill right there, I'm not there, it ain't hurting nobody. But yeah, what I wanna say is that, don't worry about the guns. How many times have people been hurt on the road because of dogs? Don't do nothing about the dogs. And that's okay, so we're gonna start side taking. But you're giving everybody warnings and stuff. I've been hurt twice on that road with the dogs, not through the guns.
And I can, if you guys don't mind, I can speak on the dog ordinance too. There's an issue with, so we have a state statute for dog at large, and we have a county ordinance for dog at large. And the circuit court and the county attorney's office has taken the position, it's my understanding, they're taking a position that since it's an incorporated town, they won't charge it through state court. So that's the issue with.
But they said they got a judge and stuff now, and they're gonna start doing that.
Right, and that's part of the progression.
These dogs are dangerous, even for kids. You can't shoot them if they're coming out of their yard after them. Like my neighbor, he said, walk around, and the dog came out of 10 of them. I said, don't shoot it. They said, you can't either. I'm gonna kill it. That, people love their dogs, they need to keep them put up. If it's my dog doing that, don't want me again,
And a majority of our non-criminal cases out here are dog problems. And that's why I said, Town of Bear River could put some kennels out here. You guys.
I've had dogs come over and kill my horse. Way back here, but nothing I can do about it.
Well, the nice thing is,
When I called and that Robin was in there, you did nothing about it,
The nice thing in all truth is that right now, because we are trying to progress things, these certain situations are gonna happen a lot less.
Okay.
Up to this point, we had no teeth.
I believe that.
We could have said, you know what, you're gonna get in trouble because you have a dog out. What do we do about it? Nothing. Now, because we have a judge, we have a court in place that's very, very fresh and very, very new, from this point moving forward, we'll actually be able to see some things change. When there's situations like that, we can actually enforce something. Because as the sheriff was talking about, the county's not gonna do anything because we're incorporated. But because we are incorporated and have made these progressive steps, now we can do something about it. The same with this gun law. The reason the gun ordinance, the reason it's coming forth is for progression, to make sure that as things continue to grow, as things continue to happen in our community, we have ways to protect the citizens of this community. Growth is happening. Whether we like it or not, it's happening. And so we want to get some things in place now so that as things get bigger, get stronger, we have ways to help protect people.
But you want to protect citizens with the dogs. They're more dangerous than those guns. I've been into a cold field with his dogs, remember?
And the nice thing
They're
is
trained,
this ordinance does go into that.
and nobody came out and told me the laws, you can't drive down the road. And I get over, But you want to do the guns, but not, you're not gonna enforce the dog.
Well, the subject is the dogs, right, or the guns right now. We can address the dogs later, but right now we're talking about the guns.
And
Okay,
we've
you've got-
already put stuff in place for the dogs.
Yeah.
And I understand the enforcement is coming, but that was also promised that we want to let people know. We'll start with warnings to try to get that. And then
Yeah,
we'll
warnings.
then we'll move into stronger enforcement.
Well, they've been warned that here a bunch.
But that was the promise given when we started that enforcement, because the concerns were raised. Well, what if people don't know about that? What if they're gonna get fined all this money? And what if their dog gets destroyed when they don't know? And so the promise was, we will start by issuing warnings so that we have a good feeling that the town understands that the ordinance is in place and is being enforced. And so when it starts going with fines, because that's all the town can do is fine until they get to a certain point and the dog can be destroyed. But that was what was promised to the citizens of the town, as I remember, in meetings similar to this, when there were concerns raised about the enforcement of the dog ordinance.
But how come people can't protect themselves on the dog? I mean, their kids are out there and these dogs are coming out, these cow dogs that people don't even need. I mean, you know, that's what I was trying to say, you know, I'm just saying.
So with the warnings,
Carry a big stick.
those that care about the dogs, the warnings will take care of the problem.
Oh, okay.
For the good dog owners,
Yeah.
and like, say your dog got out one time, you're gonna take care of it.
Well, don't kill it. Bottom line, it's gone.
Don't put it in the book, but the thing is the good dog owners and the good people that care about their stuff,
Yeah.
the warnings take care of that. It's the ones that you're gonna see in front of Bear River Court that aren't taking care of the dogs.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, it's a learning curve for everyone, and I think the town is taking a proactive approach to it. And, you know, it will all work out in the long run.
You only have the judge appointed for
Yeah.
a few months.
Yeah, they-
But we had another, step up here.
Just one thing I'd like to add, to a comment that you made. You can shoot guns in the county, you're absolutely right. However, that still has to be done in a safe manner. If they're shooting into your property, or towards your property,
Yeah.
absolutely call that something we need to address.
And I don't know that they're not shooting.
Oh,
Safely,
yeah.
we can just hear them.
Okay.
But like, Clyde's had bullets come by him, I haven't had that.
And that's something we'd definitely be interested in addressing. And like the sheriff said, we're not bothering us. If there's a question, we can always go and contact people and ask questions. It's better just to keep everybody safe. A couple minutes talking to people usually takes care of the situation.
You know, Dave, my horses come running out here, it's just been a month ago. They come flying out of that back pasture before we kicked them off, you know, when the snow started melting. There was a lot of shooting going on. I thought it was in my back pasture. And I walked down there and I did call the sheriff's office and AC came out. Officer AC came out and we talked about it. It was right across the river. I know where you're talking about, but it sounds like it's right behind my barn.
Yeah, it's
after.
We got one each way from
Yeah.
my house, we got one north and one south, and one south is probably right behind you.
But he went around and, you know, talked to him, and I know the guy out there, but I didn't know what was going on in my back pasture, I sound like World War III, here we go.
I heard people, but I know.
I mean, it sounds to me like we need to buy some time for some further discussion. So in the meeting, instead of having the second reading, we can vote to table this issue. And we can table it, and that'll put it off for another month. And at the next meeting, I mean, we're not gonna come up with, there's gonna be people on both sides of every issue. But this one seemed to have hit a nerve. Let's talk about it some more. Instead of having a second reading tonight, which is another step toward passing it, let's just table it tonight, give us another month. Does that sound okay? And that, I mean, that vote takes place in the official meeting, that's
I have no problem with not shooting a gun out there, I'm just like, you're gonna start forcing that law, we need to do something about the dog law too, you
You know,
know?
like I say, with the
But now
judge,
you got to handle it, you
yeah,
know?
they've got to have them with the judge in place now.
And I did talk to an attorney, that said somebody riding a horse out there, and your dog's stew, hit them hurt, you're liable for a lawsuit.
Well, the nice thing is, what I recommend for everybody is if we do table this, bring your concerns to us. Talk to us about the issues. Tonight, we're pretty much done with the discussion now. But over the course of the next month, if you guys want to see a change in this ordinance, whatever, bring it to us. Let's talk about it so that we can discuss it and make it a law that an ordinance that it is, but make it so that everybody in the town feels comfortable with it. So when you read it, you understand it, you feel comfortable with it. That's the whole idea. We're not up here to enforce what we think. We're up here to help the community come together and make a decision that's good for the community.
Okay.
So my encouragement would be for the next month, come to us. Talk to us, let's get it figured out.
Just real quick question. So with these ordinances, the way they read, is there any way to add in like an example? Therefore, somebody is questioned about, well, like one of the amendments I'd like to see is like butcher, you know, there's people with butcher. Like, is there any way to put that in there somewhere so that somebody knows where that falls within the list of stuff? To help clarify all the legal jargon?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like anything you got is open to amendments. The town has amended theirs several times over, so, yeah,
The only thing I'm afraid of is, like, you guys know the intent of this ordinance. When everything changes, come whatever, and everybody goes away, and we got a whole new board.
That's my answer to your question. We've got a portion in there that allows for the dispatch of sick and wounded animals.
Sure.
It will be added to that section.
And that's all I'm really quick. Perfect. Yep. That way everybody's got to understand like where would this fall under. It might help.
Okay. Very good. So, okay, so workshop is over. I appreciate the input. We'll start the official meeting, as soon as we get the agenda for Barb. Appreciate everybody coming in.